Your dreams invite tranquility now. Cast in this cavern, stone walls so secure. The web holds you tight through underdark night, and guardian spiders that tickle you feel. With gossamer thread, weave our goddess's seal. The Spider Queen's children, and so too your kin, are here to remind you that you shall not sin. They show you the scourge, the snake-headed whip. They bite and they tear, until she hears your prayer. There is no such blessing to the damned up above. Those who've forsaken the Spider Queen's love. In their way lies weakness and unceasing waste. And if you would join them, then so be debased. And when Hellfire Orb looks down on your shame, your soul is burned bare. She knows you're to blame. You'll live ever running, you've no place to hide, and huddled in fear, for there is no disguise. The sun, it will burn you. The cold snow will freeze. The hopelessness tumbles you down to your knees. And when you are broken, to her you will pray. But she will not hear you. You've thrown her away. And you'll find no companions to stand in our way when we hunt you and fight you and torment for play. You've chosen the weaklings of the world up above, who speak empty words and know not Lolth's love. No, Lolth will not save you from human deceit, nor from bearded dwarves, nor elvish conceit. The Spider Queen shows us the one single way. There is only the night. There is never the day. For strength does not stretch through branch or through leaf. It bleeds from the roots that secure us beneath, deep in our hearts, wrapped tight in Lolth's web. With venom we sting, her glory we sing. So whisper your love of your matron, your mother, who teaches the way to your sisters and brother. Brother, I say, there can only be one. For if there were two, there couldn't be you. Then that silken swaddle, that tickling wreath, would instead be your death by the Spider Queen's teeth. Sleep sound in the darkness, or burn in the light alone.
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my new Benedict Cumberbatch video. No, you're not dreaming. That is Benedict Cumberbatch starring in a Dungeons & Dragons short film. So I'll explain what this is all about, because obviously he's all over the place with Marvel, Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness, and Spider-Man 3, No Way Home. But if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. And we will probably be getting that Spider-Man 3, No Way Home trailer during the NBA Finals pretty soon. But if you're not huge on tabletop gaming, Dungeons & Dragons, Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, any of that stuff, this short movie is meant to be a lullaby telling the life story of Drizzt, and one of the most popular characters to spin out of the Forgotten Realms universe. The Legend of Drizzt, the title of this movie, is what the saga books about him is called. And there are many, many books. By the end of this year, in the next couple of years, there'll be about 36 books featuring his character. I was a huge fan of the Forgotten Realms and the Dragonlance books back when I was in junior high. I read through all of his origin story. There are a couple of different trilogies that feature him early on, and then they just became so popular that they just continued writing new books in his series. I think my favorite trilogy of books is still the Dark Elf trilogy, telling his origin story, but the only autographed copies of books that I have are actually the Dragonlance Chronicles, autographed by Margaret Wise. So if you're not really familiar with the Dungeons & Dragons brand, those are a bunch of different dimensions, different story universes within Dungeons & Dragons. So Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, now Magic the Gathering, all different story universes where a bunch of different characters live. Sometimes there are multi-dimensional crossovers for games, but they were all born out of the larger tabletop gaming side of the business in the story campaigns that were created for Dungeons & Dragons way back in the day. Like, they had all these custom campaigns, then writers like R.A. Salvatore came along, and he just happened to be writing original stories inside the Forgotten Realms universe. So he's the one who created the Drizzt character and gave him his backstory, and all the other companions that you see during his stories. So he's kind of like the George R. Martin of the Forgotten Realms universe. The big difference, though, is that he writes books at warp speed compared to the pace that George R. Martin writes, if we're ever going to see Winds of Winter. And I don't think we're even going to see Dream of Spring in our lifetime. But the reason why they released this short movie now with Benedict Cumberbatch is because of the virus lockdowns last year and everything that happened, people being stuck inside their homes. There was an explosion of tabletop gaming, as you would expect. And Wizards of the Coast, sort of the brand that manages all these different properties, said that they had one of their most profitable years ever in the history of the company. So this summer in 2021, they're doing a lot of extra special celebratory stuff involving the games and the stories of the books. There is a new book in the Drizzt series that he's releasing in August this year. They're also releasing the Dark Alliance game on Xbox Game Pass that features Drizzt and all of his companions, the main heroes from the Icewind Dale trilogy. There's even a live-action Dungeons & Dragons movie with Chris Pine that's in development right now that they'll be filming real soon. And if you're a big Magic the Gathering fan, there's also going to be a big crossover with his character and the Icewind Dale characters during an upcoming set. I'm not really big on Magic the Gathering. My little brother was back in the day, but obviously as we got older, we kind of fell off. But the character Drizzt is a dark elf, also called a drow, born in the complete darkness of Menzoberranzan, located in the Underdark of the world of Forgotten Realms, the planet, a vast series of interconnected caves and passageways. They call his home the City of Spiders because his people, the drow, worship Loloth, the spider goddess. She's also referred to as the Queen of Spiders, but she's this immensely powerful cosmic entity who's normally portrayed as an antagonist. So funny coincidence that Benedict Cumberbatch is starring as a character who formerly worshipped a spider goddess and is going to be starring in Spider-Man 3 later this year. Drizzt is unusual amongst his people in that, one, he's born a male. The drow are a matriarchal society, and their goddess grants the female clerics, their worshippers, way more power. Their society is kind of like the extreme version of Game of Thrones. The social standing of your house is a huge deal in power structure. Imagine something like the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones or the Battle of the Bastards happening every single week in the Underdark. The social standing of your house is a huge deal in the overall power structure of their culture, with the most powerful families being granted the most favors from their goddess, the most magical power, the most influence. Drizzt is born into a relatively mid-level family, but their society values ambition above all, so he has no brothers, only just a huge pack of very powerful sisters. As he grows up and they try to indoctrinate him with the values of their society, basically kill or be killed, live to make war, amass more power for your family, for your goddess, he becomes disillusioned, eventually rebels against them, turns against their ways, and he gets banished to the Underdark. Eventually, he makes his way to the surface to try and find a better way to live his life, which is where he encounters all the main heroes from the Icewind Dale trilogy. So the way the books were written, though, the first time you meet him is in the Icewind Dale trilogy. That came first, the Crystal Shard, but it's after he's already come to the surface. He's much older, and it's later in his timeline. So he just enters the story as this mysterious dark elf ranger that joins your party, and you just slowly learn more and more about him over the first 3 books. It wasn't until right after that the character became hugely popular that R.A. Salvatore wrote his origin story during the Dark Elf trilogy of books, and that's when you find out how he was born, where he grew up, and what it was like. So like I said, he's probably one of the most popular characters to ever come out of the Forgotten Realms story universe. So even if you're not big on tabletop gaming, like I was never a really huge Dungeons & Dragons tabletop gaming person when I was younger, but I was really into the books in the story universe. I know I mostly do Marvel DC videos talking about Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange and Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness, but Vin Diesel, Groot inside the Marvel Universe, is probably one of the biggest tabletop gaming geeks that you will find out there amongst the celebrities of Hollywood. Like this crazy popular person, super wealthy, huge Dungeons & Dragons nerd. You may have seen videos with them doing tabletop gaming with the Critical Role people or other Dungeons & Dragons related integrations, so you would be amazed at how many big celebrities out there are big on playing role-playing games. But in terms of that live-action Dungeons & Dragons movie, they haven't announced which characters they're doing from which story universe, or if they're going to be brand new characters, but right now we just know that it's starring Chris Pine, Hugh Grant, Michelle Rodriguez, Justice Smith, and then they'll probably announce the rest of the cast when they start filming pretty soon. But the movie is supposed to come out in 2023, so I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that it does well, because I feel like so many of those Dungeons & Dragons stories, Forgotten Realms, Dragonlance, would make amazing movies, and they have tried to make movies about them in the past. Like there was an animated Dragonlance movie a long time ago, but it's really hard to find and it didn't end up being very good. So once we start getting trailers for that, I will start doing videos for that movie. But everyone just post all your reactions in the comments below, and like I said, we should be getting that Spider-Man 3 No Way Home trailer pretty soon. I will be doing Marvel Loki episode videos. That's going to start in a couple weeks, so make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss any of that. While you wait for everything, click here for my brand new Doctor Strange 2 movie video all about Shumagorath, and you can click here for my brand new Venom 2 trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys tonight.